Hello guys. Okay, so let's get started with this video. Metal Gear Online Tactical Team Operations. Ooh, okay. So, 10 months ago I made a video called Metal Gear Online 3 Will It Suck? And on October 6th, about 2 weeks ago, Metal Gear Online 3, and for the sake of not having to say the entire name, we're just gonna refer to it as MGO 3. It was released on consoles, that is PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, and Xbox One. Now for PC, which I play on PC, it has been delayed to January 2016, and honestly I wasn't really surprised. And I wouldn't really be surprised if it gets delayed even more. I mean, it happens. Okay, so what? Okay, before I even get started, I do want to say that I myself have hardly been able to play Metal Gear Online 3. The reason for that is because, like I've stated, I play on PC. In fact, the gameplay right now you're seeing is my gameplay on PC, although the problem is I still haven't quite figured out the optimal settings for recording this game, because my software, every game kind of gets recorded differently. Like when I recorded Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, it recorded really well with the settings I already had. But for MGS5 Phantom Pain, it might be a bit blurry, I don't know. So by the time MGO 3 gets to the PC, it should be fixed, and you should be expecting some of that gameplay. Now, besides the self-advertisement, the point of this video is to say my opinions on Metal Gear Online 3. So, okay, I haven't played. What type of credit do I have to make this video? I've played one round, of Bounty Hunter, and I've watched a lot of gameplay from my brother. I went and visited my brother. He has the game. He played MGO 2 pretty much the same time as me. Actually, he played a bit more because he got the game first. And so we both played MGO 2, and we've both been playing Metal Gear Solid games in general. So, okay, out of all my time watching the gameplay of MGO 3, what do I have to say about it? It's not a bad game. I mean, it looks fun, and when I played it, I did have some fun, It's hard not to really compare it a lot to other things, especially MGO 2, but I mean, for the most part, it's actually pretty fun. Bounty Hunter is interesting. It's quite fun. I'm saying fun a lot. Fun, under the sun. Okay, so let's get started to the main things I want to talk about. Okay, so in MGO 3, there are classes. I stated this before, that back 10 months ago there was a theory. It wasn't fully confirmed that there were going to be classes, and that got confirmed. And of course, now that it came out, we've been able to see everything the classes have so far. And the three classes are Scout, the Enforcer, and the Infiltrator. Scout is essentially the sniper. They're just in the back sniping people. Enforcer, they have armor and heavy infantry weapons, such as rocket launchers and machine guns, I guess. Infiltrators are the most used class, since they have a stealth camo that they can activate, which is not necessarily OP, since everybody can see it. You have to be very still to be completely invisible, but it's still really good. Now, like I said, most used class is Infiltrator. Why? Because even though Enforcers, they have the big weaponry, most of the time that really won't matter. because in this game you can die relatively fast, you know, pretty fast, and you can kill pretty fast. And it's not just about killing, since this is a tactical team operations. Most of the time the goal is to knock out the enemy players. So in those cases, no matter if you're an enforcer or a scout or an infiltrator, you're gonna get knocked out with one punch, one flip, one R1, one R2, whatever it is. I think it's R2. I don't know. On the PS3, PS4, whatever. You're gonna get knocked out fast. And there's pretty OP weapons that will knock you out fast. There's a sleeping gas. I don't know the name of it, but it's kind of ridiculous how fast you get stunned and knocked out. So do classes really matter? Not really. If anything, they're limiting. The reason they're limiting is because every class has specific weapons you can use. So if you're an enforcer or an infiltrator, you're not going to be able to use snipers. If you're a scout, you're not going to be able to use machine guns necessarily. So if anything, the classes are kind of limiting, you know. But besides the classes, I mean, it's an interesting idea, but the way it's executed, it can make things fun, but it's gonna end up kind of just biting people. It's gonna bite you back in the end game, because you're gonna want to experiment with more guns. But to do that, you're gonna need to start over with another class, which is pretty annoying. And as for game modes, there's only 3. Now the title of this video is MGO 3 versus MGO 2. 3 game modes. I'm sorry, but that gets me kind of mad. And by kind of, I mean mostly. See, one thing I had stated 10 months ago is that they moved the productions of the Metal Gear Online from Japan to LA. And the reason that worried me is because people over here in America, they like matchmaking a lot. And so that worried me. Gladly, there's the option of having matchmaking or finding a lobby, which can be a custom lobby. You can set whether you want it in the daytime, nighttime, which map, which game mode, and stuff like that. So they did okay with that, but the problem is it's a limited custom lobby thing. I mean, it doesn't even have names. When you search up a lobby, it's a generic. The list of lobbies are the most generic you can get. It only states how many players there are, the map, the game mode, the day, the time. It doesn't have names. It doesn't have. Okay, why does that matter? I'll get to that later. Because 3 game modes. Okay, there's Bounty Hunter, Cloak and Dagger, and Comp Control. Comp Control is essentially not King of the Hill necessarily, but just capture certain parts of a map. It sounds familiar. Okay, Cloak and Dagger. Attackers win by recovering data, this, blah blah blah. Pretty much there's 2 teams. There's the people with lethal weapons and people without lethal weapons. The people that do not have lethal weapons have invincibility cloak. That should sound familiar from MGO 2. That was the thing. Kind of, with a twist, which is you have to recover a data disk. And Bounty Hunter, that's essentially team deathmatch with a twist, you know. And why does that even get me mad that there's only 3 game modes? Remember, this is MGO 3 versus MGO 2. Here I'm comparing games. I'm not necessarily saying that MGO 3 is bad. I mean, it's a good game, but MGO 2, years before MGO 3, had 12 game modes. Okay, MGO 3, let me say that again. MGO 3, 3 game modes. MGO 2, 12 game modes. It had team deathmatch, capture mission, base mission, sneaking mission, rescue mission, team sneaking, stealth deathmatch, which is essentially the cloak and dagger one, interval, bomb mission, solo capture, and race. Yeah. And now back to how I was saying the custom lobbies were really limited. Here's why it matters. See, MGO 2 had 12 game modes that were made by Konami. But you could make custom lobbies, and with those lobbies the community made more games. So it had 12 game modes, plus the games the community made, such as zombies, such as prisoner. I forget the name of it, but essentially there were prisoners and then there were guards, and I forgot the name of it, but it was a game mode. And those were the two main community made ones. There were more. So there were at least 14 game modes in MGO 2. In MGO 3 there's 3 game modes, and that's it. Because in the custom lobbies, the community cannot in any way make their own game modes, which was something really fun back then. So really, it all boils down to MGO 3 needs some updates. The gameplay itself, it's fun, but once you get to the later levels, it gets somewhat unbalanced. There's not enough variety yet. I mean, 3 game modes, you're probably only gonna have fun with maybe 1 game mode. The weapons, there are a lack of weapons. There's a lack of customization, both physical. I mean, you can make the face customization, which you can do offline. It's quite fantastic. It's well made, but I mean, there's like 2 hair options, and as for outfits and stuff like that, it's really limited. Accessories, really limited. It's just MGO 3 is lacking. That's essentially the verdict. I mean, if I had to rate it for now, it'd probably be 7.5 out of 10, 8 out of 10 maybe. It's a fun game, but compared to MGO 2, it's extremely lacking. It really is. They could have done a way better better job. Oh, there's Ascension. That's interesting, but I mean, okay, it's not really worth it at all. If anything, you're gonna get a new suit, and the suits and equipment hardly does anything, because you end up getting knocked out with 1 hit no matter what, you know? It's lacking. It's a good game. Maybe a solid 8 out of 10, but I'd probably give it a 7.5, solid 7.5, but it's lacking a lot compared to MGO 2. So, does it suck? 10 months ago I asked that question. It doesn't necessarily, but compared to its predecessor, it has a lot of updates to go through and a lot of work it needs. Is it a good game? Should you download it? Oh, if you already have MGS5 Phantom Main, sure, go ahead, play it. I still think it's worth getting, worth playing. You might have your own opinion on it. If you never played MGO 2, you might love this one. But for people that have played MGO 2, we can't help but miss it a lot more now, just because this is really a different game.